So you are thinking of moving to Rochester, Michigan. Well, in this video, we want to give you an overview of Rochester so you can have a better understanding if this is the right city for you. We're going to talk about some housing statistics. We're going to talk about some things to do and much, much more. We're going to do all of that starting right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Rochester Hills, Michigan is the topic of the day. My name is Matt Talbot. This is a Living in Detroit channel. On this channel, we like to talk about all things living in Michigan, moving to Michigan, for those of you who are thinking about moving to town. And like I said in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about Rochester. We want to dive into some of the things to do, get the lay of the land, give you a little bit of a local expert's knowledge on the area. So if you're thinking about moving here to Michigan and Rochester might be a target area for you, you can learn a little bit more about that. So jumping right into things, we're going to start with a general overview of Rochester, Michigan. The population of Rochester is 76,000 people. Interesting statistic today. It does sit in Oakland County. It's kind of in northern Oakland County and is the 14th most populous city in Michigan. There are 15 different parks and trails according to the city's website. It has multiple things happening there for sure, which we'll get into in a minute, as well as some education and housing statistics. But just to give you a lay of the land, like I said, it's in Oakland County. So in Southeast Michigan here, Detroit is where most people know if you're not familiar with the area, right? Which sits in Wayne County, and just north of Detroit is Oakland County. So Rochester, being in the northern part of Oakland County, is about 30 minutes to 40 minutes, depending on traffic and where you're at, from the city of Detroit to Rochester Hills itself. Rochester Hills to the airport, which a lot of people are always curious about on this channel, is about 44 miles. It's about 45 minutes, depending on traffic. You can probably do it a little bit less from some areas, and during heavy traffic will be a little bit higher. One nice feature, in my opinion, of the Rochester area, it sits right on the 75 corridor, which we talk quite a bit on this channel. So 75 actually goes all the way to the Upper Peninsula in Michigan, right way up here, and it goes all the way down to Florida. So you could actually take 75 from the Upper Peninsula to Florida or vice versa, and goes right through the city of Detroit. So if you're in Detroit, you jump on 75, you head about 25 minutes or so north, and you will be in Rochester, Michigan. Rochester itself and its surrounding communities, kind of because they're in that northern Oakland County, there's a lot of very unique features. There's a lot of very unique pockets of stuff happening, which we want to talk about on this video, so you can have a better understanding if Rochester is the city for you. So not only do you have the downtown area in Rochester, but to paint a little bit of a picture, you have this downtown area and it's surrounded by a lot of other local communities. You have areas like Shelby Township, you have Washington Township not far from there, and some other areas as well too throughout Rochester, like a Macomb. And if you continue to head north, you kind of get more and more rural, so to speak. So one of the things that I loved about Rochester, I actually lived there for a while when I was at Oakland University, which is in Rochester, Michigan. It is a little bit more, in my opinion, peaceful, a little bit more quiet. You're getting a little bit more out there compared to like the really close Metro Detroit cities to Detroit, where it's kind of its own area, but also surrounded by other beautiful communities, and you can have a little bit more quiet space. There's lots of golf courses and parks and just more outdoor type activities in a city like Rochester, which is one of the reasons why I think it's such a sought out area. So you have the city itself surrounded by some other cities, as well as sort of like a little bit more rural, a little bit more space, a little bit more greenery, and also most of Metro Detroit is pretty flat. Once you get into the Rochester area, there is some more rolling hills and stuff like that, which makes, in my opinion, it a little bit more scenic in that part of town. Up next is a quick rundown of Rochester schools. So there are 13 preschools, 14 elementary schools, 5 middle schools, 9 high schools, and a 19-to-1 student-teacher ratio. This is a very glaring statistic, which I think is important for a lot of people. 97% graduation rate in Rochester itself. So like I said, that's K through 12 schools. If you deep dive, there's a lot of different resources online to, do research comparing schools. We're not really able to do that as licensed real estate agents here in Michigan, but there is a lot of information out there to compare schools. But a 97% graduation rate is crazy high in my opinion. And like I already mentioned, Rochester is also home to Oakland University. So because of the university, because of the campus, you have Oakland University. Not far, you have Oakland Community College as well too. There's some post K through 12 school available for you at a school like Oakland University. great campus, and a lot of stuff happening, I'm sure, around that. So events at the university, different things happening on campus and around campus. So if you are, or your kids are, or whatever, at that, high school moving into college type of age group, then Rochester could be a good focal point, because I think Oakland makes sense for a lot of different people. They even have recently, over the last 10 years or so, maybe 15 years, added a medical college at Oakland University, so people study medicine there. The university is growing. They have a really good basketball team, beautiful campus. Like I said, sits in those rolling hills in Rochester, kind of a cool setup. So between the K through 12 schools having a really high graduation rate, Oakland University, and some of the other surrounding communities, I think that there's a lot of options when it comes to schooling in that part of town. Again, you're only 30 minutes to Detroit, so if your kids or whatever are graduating and they're gonna go to a local school to drive and commute to Detroit, it's very possible to go to school like Wayne State University. And there are a plethora of other options throughout Southeast Michigan, as well as throughout the state as well too. So lots of different options here in Michigan. I think it's one of the reasons why a lot of people move here, is because of our school system, both through K through 12 as well as the collegiate level education system in Michigan. Up next, things to do in Rochester, Michigan. So we kind of touched on some of this stuff. I'll give you some more specifics, but again, just kind of painting the picture of the lay of the land. Like summertime, I just imagine like the Rochester area is very like green, like I said, rolling hills, lots of sort of nature out there. And there's a host of different items as far as things to do. First on our list is the Meadowbrook Amphitheater, hosts concerts, sporting events, and theater productions. It is an outdoor pavilion, about 7,700 people, and about 3,000 pavilion seats, as well as 5,000 lawn seats. So Meadowbrook Amphitheater is a cool spot to see a show. I've seen lots of music out there through the years, and is, in my opinion, sort of a focal point in that area. Not terribly far from Rochester is also going to be Pine Knob, which is called DT Amphitheater for a long time. Pine Knob was what it was called back in the day. They recently switched names back to Pine Knob, so that's not far away, and that is a bigger venue as well. So lots of music comes through that part of town. Up next on things to do in Rochester, Michigan is going to be Yates Cider Mill. It's one of the oldest cider mills, actually is the oldest cider mill in Michigan, according to their website. Family owned and dates back 160 years. So that's a big part of Rochester. It's quite the place. Petting zoo, cider, donuts, all that good stuff in the fall time. It's a very sought out spot, as other cider mills are here in Michigan, but that's definitely a staple in Rochester. Dinosaur Hill Nature Preserve, 16 acres, nonprofit, offers different programs and classes. Again, there's some outdoor type activities in the Rochester area. Last but not least is going to be the Village of Rochester Hills as far as things to do in Rochester. So Rochester Hills, the Village, is 375,000 square feet of shopping district, built in 2002, has national and local retailers. So again, a lot of good spots in Rochester. Rochester Chop House comes to mind as one of my favorite spots, good steak, all that type of stuff. But one of the reasons why people like that community, whether they live close to downtown or, in Rochester Hills or Rochester itself, or some of the surrounding communities, to be able to go to downtown Rochester, very, very sought out area. There's some nice bars, there's a bar scene, a restaurant scene, all that good stuff. And it is a happening spot for that part of town. Without a doubt, Rochester is very sought out for that reason. So stay tuned to the end, stay tuned for the next section, I should say, because we have some housing statistics, which everyone always has questions about. How much are the houses in Rochester? Last but not least, housing statistics. So Mike's going to do me a favor. He's going to pop up some houses of Rochester. So first and foremost, before I dive into the actual specifics, one thing that I think reason why a lot of people move to a city like Rochester and some of the surrounding communities and surrounding neighborhoods is there is a lot more new construction in these parts of town. So there's some older areas as well too, but there's a lot of new construction in Rochester, Auburn Hills. When you go to Washington Township now, the surrounding communities, because they're a little bit further from the city. So to give you an understanding of where homes are selling currently here in 2024, I have some statistics pulled up on our handy dandy computer here. Currently, as of 2024, the average sale price in Rochester School District, so I'm kind of including Rochester Hills to sort of blend the two, is going to be in that $435 range. And if I go residential homes only, that's going to be in that $500,000 price range. So when we do condos rolled into that price, are going to be $263 on condos, $500 for residential, and we go all property types about $435,000 on average the current market. One of the reasons I believe that, you know, the single family homes are averaging in that $500,000 price point, like we already talked about, there's a lot of new construction in Rochester. And so a lot of times you see these bigger homes being built in that area, and they are new construction. So on the higher end of things typically, and are selling a little bit higher. Now, some other statistics currently here in 2024, days on market is an important number we always talk about. For the most part, we're hovering anywhere between like mid 20s and 35, maybe 40 days on market, depending on the city here in Southeast Michigan. And Rochester is on one of the more aggressive side of things there at 25 days on market as an aggregate for the entire market. Now, if you go to residential homes, they're actually a little bit higher. Condos are selling faster, which is super rare in the current market. At least that's what the data is showing us here. So condos are selling a little bit faster at 19 days on market, and the residential homes are at 28. I think a reason why that could be the case, this is just theory, not factual, but because of the new construction homes in Rochester, you see some homes that are listed actually sit on market for a while before they go pending because those homes don't exist. So a lot of times a builder will market a house, it might sit for a couple months before it goes pending, but that's because they're marketing it as a new construction home. So days on market can be affected there. Basically, moral of the story, between 25 and 30 days for residential. On the low end for condos, these things are selling fast, okay? Rochester's a very, very hot market. It's been that way, and we think it's going to continue to stay that way. All data is showing us that. So if you like date back as an example, average sale price right now, $505. I go back to 2021, average sale price was $400. So that's like a 25% increase since 2021. You know, you just see this graph kind of go like this. If you look at median sale prices in Rochester School District, it just continues to rise, and then we think it's going to continue to do so given the current market state and the supply and demand issues like we're talking about. Same with price per square foot, just continues to rise for year after year, and we're currently at $218 per square foot on residential homes. Rochester as a whole is at $212 per square foot. So really in that 200 to 250 range price per square foot for a lot of homes in Rochester. The new construction, a lot of the resales are really in that $500,000 price point, but there's a lot of bigger homes in that area, and again, a lot of new construction options. So if Rochester's the area for you, if you're thinking new construction, if you need to be in Oakland County or northern Oakland County for work or family or what have you, Rochester can be a great area. If you're thinking about moving to the area, or if you have further questions on Rochester or any of the surrounding communities, let us know. Hit the comments below, or as always, you hit the Calendly link here on YouTube. Set up a consultation with our team today. My name is Matt Talbot. This is the Living in Detroit channel. That is Rochester, Michigan.